Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for The Walking Dead Season 4, Episode 15, Us. And this was basically, as they were calling it, the penultimate episode of the show, because this is the last episode before the big finale next week. And I've been hearing pretty mixed things about this episode. Either people really love it, like they said, oh, one of the best episodes of the season, or people really hate it, like one of my friends on YouTube, all about Maggie 18. By the way, hope you're feeling better, because I know you're sick, so hope you're feeling better. But he hated the episode, so I really did not know what to expect going into this episode. I'm in the middle with this episode. It definitely was not as good as last week's. I didn't expect it to be as good as last week's. And I was really looking forward to the episode, though, and overall, it was just okay. It was just okay. It wasn't good, it wasn't bad, but there were certain things that really pissed me off, especially towards the end of the episode. One thing in particular really got me angry. Let's just get to this episode, though. So, this episode mainly deals with Glenn and his group, and then Daryl and his group. Those are the two things. And briefly, Rick, Michonne, and Carl, but not even that important. Like, Rick, Michonne, and Carl didn't even need to be in this. Let's just start off, though. So, Glenn is walking down the railroad, leading his new group. You know, we remember in the last episode, they saw a Terminus sign. You know, they were planning on going to Washington. So, they're going there. And Eugene is talking to Tara about dinosaurs and video games. And it's now night, and Graham sits beside Tara at a tree, and she tells him to go to sleep. Abraham makes it clear that he is only following them till he finds a vehicle to complete his mission. So, Abraham questions if Tara really loves Glenn and believes it would be tragic helping the man she loves find his wife. And, Graham asks Tara about something she has done. Tara tells Graham that they both have their own missions, but asks what to do when it's over, and it's now morning. As we know, Tara's a lesbian, so obviously she's not in love with Glenn. I thought that was honestly kind of silly. But then Eugene talks to Tara, but she notices something in the distance. Glenn sees a sign with markings saying, go to Sanctuary to find Maggie, and this really gets Glenn really excited, because again, his number one priority is finding Maggie, especially in this episode. That is what he wants to do, and he's not letting anything get in his way of finding Maggie. That's basically what he's doing. He's not letting anything get in his way. And he's going to the Sanctuary, but Abraham says that they are now all tired, and they should rest where they are now. But and Abraham mentions it's great that Glenn wants to find Maggie, but they need to rest. And a walker drops out of the tower. Tara falls over, but she says she can keep going. And Glenn says that Abraham and his group can stay there since he doesn't really need them. Glenn is coming across as very douchey right now and things like that. I personally think it was just because he wanted to find his wife. That's what he cared about, finding Maggie, and he wasn't letting anything else get in his way. I don't think he was mean to be douchey or anything. I think it was just that he was coming across that way because he was just really fixated on finding her. Then Glenn tells them to go till dawn. They continue down the railroad, and they're moving off farther ahead of the group. He sees another sign, runs over to it, knowing that they are closer on them. They now find a dark tunnel, and Glenn wants to go through it. But Abraham hears a bunch of walkers inside the dark tunnel, and believes that he isn't sure if they will make it, so they should take a day to go around and play it safe. And Abraham believes they should split at this point. He leaves some supplies with them and gives them a flashlight for the dark. So, it's Glenn and Tara. So, for the rest of the episode, for this plot, it's Glenn and Tara, and then Abraham, Rosita, and Eugene. We did get to see a little more of Rosita in this episode, we got to see a little more, sorry, I sneezed. We got to see a little more of her in this episode, though. Abraham says he isn't, because basically, Glenn, though, does apologize to Abraham and for hitting him, and he says he isn't upset because he likes to fight, and Abraham says that Glenn and Tara are good people, and Glenn tells Tara that he knows what she's going through, and says after he realized he'll never see anyone he loved again, he was numb. Tara mentions how the governor wanted to take over the prisoner and knew it wasn't a good idea, so she can't get over the fact of how he killed Herschel. And Tara says she knew that she wanted to scream no and couldn't believe what happened. And I thought that was a nice scene, you know, to see the bond between the two of them and see kind of that they're going through the same thing. So Tara tells Glen to turn out the light. Glen notices that none of the walkers are Maggie and knows that they made it through. Glen says they must push through. Tara tells them they need to find another way, and Abraham sees a walker in one of the cars. He opens the door, closes it on the walkers, and then stabs in the head. Glen and Tara are slowly making their way across the walker horde, but Tara falls down and her leg gets stuck, and Glen is trying to help her out. Very intense scene, by the way. But while this is going on, Abraham is sleeping in the car, and Eugene is lost, and Rosita asks why they stopped, and says Eugene is a liar. And Eugene tells Rosita that Glen and Tara might be around where they are now. Abraham asks what they are doing, and is getting really angry at Rosita. Eugene tells them to look at something, and that's what they do. They just look. So Glen is trying to save Tara, but can't get her out. And Tara tells Glen to go find Maggie and leave her in there. And Tara tells Glen they are coming for her, and she tells Glen to go. But Glen turns around and starts shooting at all the walkers. And then out of nowhere, someone shoots all the walkers. And who does he see? Maggie, Sasha, Bob, with Abraham, Rosita, and Eugene. And they all are okay. Glen and Maggie reunite, and I really liked when they reunite. I thought it was very long awaited, very well done. And I really like the way that was done, definitely. So they're now kind of catching up about things. Glen introduces Tara to Maggie. Glen mentions how he met Tara on the road. You know, very happy scene here. Nice to see them happy for a change. And Glen mentions how he met Tara on the road and couldn't make it without her. Maggie hugs Tara, gives her a hug. And Glen mentions that Tara willingly helped him out. Sasha is freaking out, is shocked, figuring out that Eugene knows how to stop the outbreak. You know, they want to figure out how to stop that as well. So that's something else that's probably going to not come up until next season. Abraham says they should all celebrate finding each other. Eugene mentions that they lost a few people and that their van right now is shit, and he would love to go look at Terminus to see what they have there. And Sasha mentions how she wants to go to Terminus first to find Tyrese, and after that she will go with them to Washington. And then we get probably the stupidest scene in the episode. I don't know why they decided to do this. Seriously, you ruined this for me. You ruined it. Glen and Maggie are catching up, and Maggie notices Glen has a picture of her, and she's just like, burn the picture. And he asks why, and she said because he will never have to see another picture of her again. What? That does not make any sense at all. So, you just meet up, and here's the thing. If they kill off Maggie in the next episode, I am going to be pissed at them, because she just told him he'll never have to see another picture of her again, and if they kill her off, that's really gonna screw him over, and it's not gonna be good at all. So, seriously, that was the stupidest thing in this episode. And that was the one thing that really pissed me off in this episode. I was just like, what? Why are you burning a picture? Like, seriously, you just met up. That got me really, upset. But then I really did like the ending. It is kind of implied, though, that even though they arrive at Terminus, Glen and his group, they reach Terminus, they walk right to the gates to get inside. They unlock it and step inside. And they all lower their weapons after coming in. They see a woman who introduced herself as Marie and says she will help them get settled and get some food. However, it's implied that that's not a good place. So that was Glen's storyline. That was the main storyline of the episode. Let's go to Daryl's storyline, which I actually, I like Daryl's storyline, in this episode. I did really enjoy it. Daryl's storyline, though, kind of, compared to Glen's, I wasn't as into it in this. I wasn't as into it. I like Glen's a little bit better. But Daryl's was still a good storyline. We see a walker going over to Daryl and his group, and they don't know where Daryl is, and they're looking for Daryl. And where is Daryl? Daryl is shooting a rabbit with his crossbow, and I like that the similarities, from last week's episode with Lizzie. They ask where he found the rabbit and everything. This is basically the rabbit that Lizzie killed in Inmates. That's the whole thing. Daryl's out, he's out there, and Daryl, the man says that the rabbit is his, whether Daryl likes it or not. And Daryl argues with him and tells him it isn't his. The man says that he bets the bitch he was with messed him up, and mentions it was a piece of tail he lost and they wonder if it was a young girl. As we know, Lizzie did do it. And Daryl turns to him to go to a knife, and Joe stops him. And Joe says it's the other guy's rabbit, and that Daryl says he doesn't care about their claiming. And Joe says there isn't a reason to punish him, and that there was a reason why he never killed him. Joe goes to take the rabbit and instead cuts it in half and gives each man a piece of it. And then Joe reminds Daryl to claim the things that he wants. It's all about claiming. And Daryl's walking with Joe. Joe asks Daryl what his plan is, and Daryl mentions that this plan isn't for him. Joe says that he would be better off on his own. Daryl asks what happens if they break a rule, and Joe says you'll get a beating. Joe whistles out and lets them all know they should stop. Joe tells Daryl that if he isn't leaving right now, then he should stay with them. Joe mentions he is a cat person, that nothing is sadder than an outdoor cat thing. It's an indoor cat. This is honestly really boring at this point. I was bored. I was bored in this scene, seriously. The Glen and Maggie stuff I really like, but the Daryl stuff, I was bored. That's why this is what made the episode just good for me. Daryl and his group go inside of some sort of place with several cars, and they go there, and the men start claiming stuff, and Daryl basically takes whatever is left and lays down on the ground. He wants to take, he takes whatever there is to offer him. So Daryl's on the floor, and some guy asks him to look into his bag, thinking Daryl took something of his. And Joe asks if Daryl took his rabbit. Daryl says he took nothing. Daryl starts getting pissed, saying that he did not take the rabbit, having that the guy planted it in his bag. And Joe tells the other guy that it would be disappointing if he placed the rabbit in the bag. Honestly, this is really stupid. It's about a rabbit. Why do you care? I understand, the rabbits are only food, but seriously, it's so stupid. The whole plot was stupid for Daryl tonight. For Daryl in this episode. And then to end the episode, Daryl wakes up the next morning and notices a ton of blood on the ground. He goes to find the man who set him up dead with an arrow in his head. And Daryl is walking with Joe. Joe tells Daryl to take it slow, and Joe says he believes things are falling together, and that for guys like them, survival is something that they have always done. Daryl knows that it's signed to Terminus, and Joe tells Daryl that it's a lie, and that the people there are not all welcoming. So, possibly this Terminus thing might not be a good thing for them. And, that's where this episode ends. Now, we did get 1 minute of Rick, Carl, and Michonne. Completely unnecessary, but, I mean, whatever. I did not, enjoy that, though. So, this episode for me, half and half. I really liked the Glen stuff up until the whole burn my picture thing. That was the stupidest thing in this episode. And then Daryl and the rabbit thing, that was also stupid. This was definitely one of the weaker episodes, I think, of the season. It was definitely not one of the stronger ones. I feel like last week's was so good that this week's could not be as good. I thought it could be, but I think it was just because last week's was so good. I was expecting this one to be just as good, and it wasn't. But let me know what you guys saw this episode. My question is, what's going to happen in this finale? I have no idea. Because they really didn't set anything that big up, except that Terminus is not as bad as they think. Terminus is not as good as they think. I mean, that's really all they set up for this finale. So I don't know what's going to happen in this finale. I don't know what they're going to do with this finale. And I think it could be boring. I think after the last, the mid-season finale, I don't think it's going to be as good as the mid-season finale. And I think definitely that it could get boring if they don't have much to do with this finale, The one thing that I am wondering is, are we going to find out, is Eugene going to admit the cause of this whole Walker virus? Are we going to get like a Pretty Little Liars type of finale, like the one we got last week where we found out all the information about basically everything? I don't know. I don't think The Walking Dead's ending next season. However, it might be the right way to go, judging how things are going in this episode. And I really hope next week's is a lot more exciting than this, because honestly, this episode was not that exciting. It really wasn't. It was a lot of fighting, a lot of tension between people, but not that exciting. And I was fine in the beginning with that, but now that we're towards the finale, big things need to happen, and big things did not happen. Only on last week's episode, the big things happened. On this week's episode, big things did not happen, and that left me a little disappointed with this episode. You know, I was expecting more from it, and it just was not as good to me. Yes, I agree. It was definitely one of the weaker episodes of the season. Was it like the worst episode ever? No, because there were some parts that I really did enjoy, like Glen and Maggie reuniting. I enjoyed the conversations between Glen and Tara. I enjoyed their bond. I enjoyed seeing more of Abraham, Rosita, and Eugene. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed seeing everyone meet up at Terminus. But the Daryl stuff was really stupid in this episode. And yeah, that's basically it for this review, though. I hope you enjoyed it. And I will see you guys in my next video. And I'll see you then. Bye.